Hey everybody, it's Joe from GadgetryTech, and today is all about making the most out of your audio gear, specifically for Warzone 2025 and the newly released Verdansk. Now we're going to get into it, but I do have chapters in the description below to help save you some time in case you need to revisit something, and this does include support for console players as well because I don't want to leave you behind. There's going to be a lot of resources discussed here, so there will be a lot of links in the description below as well to help you find the tools you need to do some of the steps I'm providing here. Now, this video is only long because if the first process I provide for EQ tuning doesn't work for you, I've created additional steps that will scale depending on what capabilities you have, whether it's your equipment, platform, headset, etc. So if the first method works, you can skip the rest of the video, but as always, if you do find this content helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe so I can see you at the next one. If the first method works for you, of course, you can skip the rest of this video, but don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you find it helpful so you can come back for more unbiased reviews and audio guides. So to briefly explain how this works, while there are benefits to having just a universal shared EQ, it is more beneficial to have a custom EQ that's specific to your exact audio product. The reason being is headset A can sound very different than headset B. So if I provide the exact same EQ to both, I'm going to get very different results. When I say measure, I am talking about frequency response, and the higher the line is at that frequency, the stronger that frequency is, such as bass. And conversely, if it's lower at that point, that means you get less bass. You get the idea. So while it's nice to boost certain frequencies to enhance bass, sometimes we don't want to boost it as much, or one headset will be boosted differently, and some headsets actually need a bass cut, because if you have too much bass, things like explosions, reverbs, engine noises, all of that can drown out the footsteps or the audio cues you're actually trying to hear. And the same principle applies towards the rest of the frequencies for gunshots, airstrikes, footsteps, you name it. This video is only about EQ, so if you want to mess around with virtualization and level adjustments per channel, there's another creator out there called Artist War. I'll have a link in the description for the channel if you want to check out those audio guides, and my EQ tuning will work with that setup. It's just a different approach. I only want to do EQs, so that's what we're going to stick with. So this tool takes my measurements of your product and then applies my custom game target. It takes into account things like glass breaking, airstrikes, footsteps. It's not just making footsteps louder. It's getting rid of the stuff that's painful or can make confusing audio. It's all about creating pinpoint accuracy for audio cues without necessarily completely ruining the sound either. There is still some immersion there because I didn't want to get rid of all of the bass, but that's the general philosophy behind it. That means that even if you have a sub $50 IEM or headset or the legendary Sennheiser HD800S, providing a game target adjustment EQ means that everyone can stand to benefit from it and improve their play. And I did back that up. This did get better with this EQ. It's also worth noting that in-ear or IEMs behave differently than on-ear or headsets and headphones. So because of that, I have two different targets. So be sure that you're not mixing the two up. If you're on my IEM page, you can use the IEM target, which will already be there. It's automatic. And then if you go to the headset page and headphones, that's going to use the on-ear version. So just to explain that, the reason being is IEMs bypass your pinna, so it localizes and hears frequencies slightly differently, so you can't use the same graph. The other thing is if your headset, IEM, or headphone is not on the list, shoot me a comment. I will do my best to add it and measure it somehow, but this video is also going to give you a couple tips to possibly fill in the gaps in the meantime. So real quick on the game settings, I just use the Treyarch mix. It's just the simplest way to go about doing it. The headphone mix has a tighter dynamic range, which means the lowest volume and the highest volume are closer together. And by doing so, things like ambient noise, the creaking of a building if you're camping a room, all of that stuff is boosted up a little bit, and while footsteps can be louder, you're competing with more noise. It can make things confusing. The home theater mix kind of spreads things out so far, which is fun for dynamic range, but it's not as competitive. So use the Treyarch mix. I don't mind the universal enhanced headphone mode for on-ear headphones, but I didn't really like it for in-ears, and even if you enable it, it adds a weird reverb from time to time. It's very object specific, and that can actually make things harder to pinpoint. So the first portion of this tool focuses on parametric EQ. If you don't know what that is, I have a video on it, and if you have access to it, great. This means that you want to be having equalizer APO with the Peace add-on installed or SteelSeries Sonar. Now, if you don't have either of them installed, watch this entire part because I have a really cool tool. This is the first day this is being announced publicly, and it's going to drastically change how easy it is to use SteelSeries Sonar for custom EQ. Now, some console players can benefit from parametric EQ as well. If you have the Astro A50X or the SteelSeries Nova 5, Astro A50 Gen 5, There are several headsets that do full onboard parametric EQ now, which works on all consoles. So if you need to buy a new headset for console, maybe consider one of those. You also have the option like the Quidel X5K for PlayStation and PC, which has onboard parametric EQ, and it does support the microphone. So if you want crazy EQ options, I'll have a link in the description below for that. All of this stuff will work on it too. So the first thing you want to do is make sure the game target is active by clicking Warzone 2025 at the bottom here. Once it's active, you'll scroll through a list of different headsets and headphones that I've measured, and then add your product once you find it. Now, if you compare the frequency response in pink, that's the headphone measurement itself of the Cloud 3 wireless, and then compare that to the dotted line, that's what I think is the ideal sound signature for Verdansk. And you can see there's a little bit of a difference here, so we're gonna try to make them very much the same. So in order to do that, we're gonna click Equalizer in the top left-hand corner here, and you're gonna see a bunch of blank numbers. It's all zeroed out. That's because we haven't done anything yet. All we have to do is click Auto EQ and watch the magic happen. So that shiny new line represents basically what the sound result will be if you apply the EQ settings on the left. So if you have a hardware device that has parametric EQ, then all you have to do is copy all 10 of those rows on the left-hand side into your device, such as a Quidel X5K. If you're doing this on the Windows side or the PC side and you want to take advantage of auto EQ to do everything for you, now we have two options to go from here. To export this, all you have to do is go to the left-hand side. You can see export. We're going to click that. It's going to pop up a window, and then you can name the file and make sure you make note of where you save it because we're going to need it here in the moment. So we're going to type Warzone, and we're going to hit save. So let's say you have Equalizer APO open with Peace, and make sure that when you install this that your device you plan on using is already plugged in and turned on, because the first time setup is going to show you a quick selector tool. You have to kind of choose what devices you want Peace to control. Make sure you select your headset or DAC or whatever you're using, and then you'll be able to open Peace once both programs are installed. So once you've done that, all we have to do is click import. You can see this little folder in a weird precarious spot. So I'm going to click import here. Now, all I have to do is click on the HyperX Cloud 3 EQ preset that we saved a minute ago. I'm going to click open. It's going to ask if you want to replace it. We're going to say yes. And sure enough, this is the auto EQ, and we're done. We custom tuned your headset to sound as good as possible for Verdansk. Now, there's a couple tweaks I want to point out. One is if you notice on the top left-hand side, it says preamplifying -5. Well, that's not too bad. Some of them will go to like -8, depending on how aggressively we have to do EQ. It's doing that because it's eliminating any possible chance of distortion. If you EQ too far past a signal, you could overboost it. But on Call of Duty, one, it's not really going to be noticeable, and two, the tool is a little bit on the safe side. If you want to A/B this and compare the tune versus not having a tune, slide this back to 0 or just type 0 on the keyboard, and then you can toggle it on and off. Just Alt-Tab, toggle it on and off when you play to see if you can hear the difference. If you have a lot of volume overhead, then maybe pull it down a few decibels if you don't want to have any chance of distortion, but you don't have to be super aggressive. Once you're happy with the settings, and you can obviously tweak a little bit to taste, you can then click save here. We're going to have a new pop-up that's going to allow you to name the preset. And you can pick something shorter. You can even assign a color to it, and we're going to hit save. And there it is showing up on my list on the left. The reason why you want to save it is if you accidentally change presets, you don't want to lose all of that work in case you didn't save the text file, or maybe you have multiple headsets or IEMs and you want to toggle between them, or maybe you're using this tool for more than one game, because I will be adding more games. Rainbow Six Siege is going to be next. So now that we've saved it, you're good to go. If you were able to do this step, you don't have to do anything else. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. So here's where it gets insane, and I owe a huge thanks to a developer who's helped add this to my website. So there's an orange button where it says tip the developer. That is for a person who donated his time to help build this tool. So if you find it helpful and you want to show some appreciation, feel free to click that link. I don't get any of that. That's just for that person. Having said that, if you go to gadgetrytech.com/squig to sonar, and I will have a link in the description for this, we can finally take the auto EQ exports and automatically import it into SteelSeries Sonar. This has never been done before. This is the first time internationally, I guess, that we can do this. So I want to show you how painless this is because it's insane. So we have the Cloud 3 EQ that we just saved, and I showed you how to do it with Peace. If you don't want to use Peace because you like Sonar, all I have to do is drag this text file or click open. If we clicked on this box, you can see it says HyperX Cloud 3 Wireless. I want to build this EQ for my game preset in SteelSeries Sonar. So make sure you have SteelSeries Sonar installed and running. I'll have a link for that. And once we do that, all I have to do, we're going to actually have this ready. So I'm going to hit convert. It's going to run it. See how it says open SteelSeries GG client. Let's move that over here just in case the pop-up goes off screen. I'm going to click open. Check it out. It's automatically built. The server is doing all the magic in the background. We're going to hit Warzone. I'm going to hit save and check it out. We're done. You didn't have to type any of that in anymore, saving you a lot of time. Now, just like Equalizer APO, Sonar allows countless amounts of presets. You can see I've done a bunch before for different headphones and headsets I've been kind of messing around with, but you can import the EQ, and if you want to fine tune it for personal preference, you can even take advantage of these bass sliders, vocal or voice, and then your treble to kind of fine tune the sound to your liking. There are other things you can do here. I don't recommend messing with these too much. Smart volume is kind of its own compressor, but I don't think it was fast enough for Call of Duty, so I usually leave those off. Same thing with spatial audio, but that's a whole nother discussion. So once you've done that, it's automatically saved. Now make sure that in order for this to work, that your output device is the Cloud 3 in this case. So you want to select that in the mixer. Once you've set all of that up, then when you play Call of Duty for your audio device, if you don't click default, you want to pick that same SteelSeries Sonar gaming output in Call of Duty, and that'll route it correctly. You can also use this to route for voice chat as well, giving you game to chat mix on any device and all being sent out to the same headset. So this is a very powerful tool. So let's say your headset or headphone isn't on my database. Now this is going to be a gray area, but it's still a little bit better than nothing, partly because I talked about measuring things and things can measure differently. Well, their measurement rig is slightly different than mine, so it's not going to be 100% apples to apples, but this is still much better than having no EQ option at all. So if you want to use this database, I'll have it in the description below as well. Use mine first if it's there, just for accuracy. But in order to benefit from it, all you have to do is pick the game target down here at the bottom. You can see I have this target active. And if you click this download arrow here, I can set it to Warzone 25. I'm just going to call it target just to make it easier. So I'm saving my game target for export. Then I'm going to go over to the ratings website and we're going to go into Equalizer. Now you can see it says upload target. So I'm going to click that. I'm going to pick the Warzone 2025 target and hit open. Now look at that. My target is on their site. And you'll notice the frequency range for audio EQ goes up to 15,000. That's quite a bit less accurate. So I strongly recommend lowering it to either anywhere from 7,500 hertz to 8,400 hertz, somewhere in there, only because some gaming headsets have a sharp peak at 8 kilohertz. So we set this new range. I'm going to hit auto EQ again, just like before. Its magic happens, and now I just basically calibrated this HD599 to follow my sound signature as well. You can then click Export Parametric EQ, and this is the exact same process we did before. All of the prior steps apply, but now you have a selection of additional models that may not have been available to you. But wait, there's more. What if you have an IEM that I did not measure? Well, if you recall, I have two different targets, so don't use that same target we just exported for ratings for IEMs. Instead, go to my IEM link, which is going to be at the top. If you're on the headphone link here, you can see IEMs. So we're on the IEMs page. So we're going to export this target, which we already have. You can see Warzone 2025 IEM. Now we're going to go to another Squig link. Now I picked this one. This is from Super Review. He's actually the primary host for Squig link. Super nice guy. Link to his YouTube channel in the description below. His rig happens to measure extremely close to mine, and we have the same test methodology. So there's a lot of IEMs here that might not be present in mine. If you want to use his, again, the same target or process applies. All I have to do is click Upload Target, click Warzone 2025 IEM. There it is. I'm going to disable these other targets. I don't want a lot. So make sure you close out anything that is other than the one that you wanted. Now this is set to Moondrop Rays, which is a new pretty awesome IEM. Let's say you have the older Chew or Chew 2 in this case. You can see again a very different sound signature. So we're going to click on Equalizer. I'm still going to set my max range, maybe 8,500 if you want to factor in that little peak that's up there. Now I'm going to click Auto EQ. It does its magic. This red line is my new target for IEMs that I didn't have on my database. And again, we're just going to click export, and those same prior processes apply. So this covers a vast majority of IEMs, headsets, and headphones. So what if you don't have access to parametric EQ, but you do have a 10-band EQ? Maybe you play on Xbox and you use the Dolby Access or Dolby Atmos app. That's a 10-band. Maybe you use the Creative G6, G8, etc. You get the idea. Well, let's see how close we can get to the target. So in order to do that, we have to understand how this works. So if you look at your 10-band equalizer for your device, you're going to see different frequencies. It'll say typically 34 or 32 hertz, 64 hertz, 125 hertz. So this part is manual. You are going to have to type these numbers in, but once you do that, we're going to be able to make some changes. So I've put all 10 bands in on the frequency side, but we have to specify a Q factor, which is how wide or narrow you adjust the sound. A 10-band equalizer basically has a fixed Q factor of 1.41. So I'm going to type that in on the first band. I'm just going to highlight it, Control C, Control V. We're going to fill that all the way down. And we are basically rebuilding your 10-band EQ option, whether it's Dolby Atmos or your DAC. So now all we have to do is adjust the gain settings to make this blue line, or the new line that's going to appear. Let's do -4. So you can see the green line is my new EQ. We are going to mess with this until we get closer to the target. And you could even click these little arrows here to kind of fine tune it. Doesn't have to be perfect. Maybe do 5.5 or 6. Don't go like into 0.2 because it's going to be really hard to see on your equalizer. But I'm going to go, let's add one. That's a little high. You can still, this is just a ballpark and get really close. I'm going to go 0.5. 125 hertz needs a few dB here. So let's go to 0.3 or 3 decibels. I'm going to lower that a little because I think it's actually counterintuitive to lift that. So you can see I'm getting closer to the curve here. I could even go to 4.5 if you want a little bit more bass. That actually looks really good now. We're really close to that bass measurement. There's a little bit of a lift here at 800 hertz. I can't really fix that entirely because you could see that 500 is here and 1000 is up here. So the issue is more in between. Let's see what happens if I go to -1. Maybe a little bit better, not too bad. We have to lift this region now. So I'm going to add 2 decibels to 2 kilohertz, and we're getting closer. Let's add 2 decibels to 4. Not too bad. If I add 2.5, let's just go to 3 and see what happens. That's pretty close, and I can actually lower this to 1.5 again on 2 kilohertz. So you can see I'm using 10 band, something that a lot of people will have access to get closer to the ideal target. You can always use your ears to customize it further to your own personal preference. But if you look at the blue line versus the green, we're already a lot closer than what that headset would have been without it. So again, a lot of people can benefit from this, and that implies towards console, both Xbox and PlayStation. So let's say you don't want to go with any of those special custom EQs that's specific to what you own. You just want a universal one because you want to make it simple. Well, I'm going to have a link in the description below for a universal SteelSeries Sonar EQ. Kind of against my better judgment, but at the same time, if any of your stuff that you have is not listed here and you don't have any other option, this will get you going. Now, the advantage with SteelSeries Sonar, again, are those sliders. So the whole goal of this EQ and why I'm sharing it on Sonar is we can adjust the bass, the voice band, or the mid-range and the treble in addition to the curve that I'm providing. So import the custom EQ, save it to Sonar, and then if you find that your model is lacking a little bit too much bass, just slide the bass knob up. If it's still far too bassy, then slide the bass knob down. So the universal EQ will kind of shape your general sound signature, but then use the sliders to fine tune it for your model and how you're hearing it. Now, if you have a headset that has its own onboard 10-band EQ, you can use this tool to create those profiles for you, but I did make a few special ones that I know are going to be more commonly requested, like the Maxwell, the Stealth Pro, etc. So here are those. Now, I know some people are going to ask for suggestions on audio gear. I will be doing some reviews and roundup videos on this, but I have a link in the description below for some of my favorite items in each category, whether it's affordable IEMs, mid-range headsets for analog, wireless, you name it, and then also a few open back and closed back headphones, again, depending on your use case. So take a look in the description below for some top picks. Otherwise, expect some videos coming soon to kind of dive into that again for 2025. And that about wraps up this guide. And again, I will have a Rainbow Six Siege tune coming out soon, so keep an eye on the site. I hope you found this helpful. The whole goal of why I do this with custom tunes is I don't feel that people that have a $30 budget should be punished because they can't have stuff that is necessarily competing with like the $2,000 setups. Custom EQ for your device can really make a big difference, and I hope it improves your enjoyment. So don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'd love to see it in some future videos. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.